All right. Anyway, let's go over today's market recap, and I'll show you the trade that I ended up taking today and the trade that I ended up fading today. So, pretty simple bias, I feel. Actually, well, not really, I guess. Coming into today, overall, the higher time frame was looking pretty bullish, right? We are delivering off of, I guess. Okay, well, yeah, it's just all-time high conditions. I'm not gonna lie, we're delivering off of this 4 hour below. We do have a bunch of unfilled gaps below us here, but we are also currently in this range as well with this hourly gap right here. And we're also respecting this, and we also had a new day opening gap below us as well. So I definitely could have seen us being bearish here, for sure. We had this new day opening gap below, that was also unfilled, and we had liquidity building up to it, and we're overextended because we're at all-time highs. So I could definitely see us having a retrace here, and overall within this like internal structure that we were doing, we were inversing all these gaps. These 30-minute gaps to the downside inversed this 30-minute gap, two 30-minute gaps, 3 minute, 30-minute gaps, whatever. So there's definitely like I could see bearish price action because on this lower time frame base, like leg right here was definitely looking more bearish than it was bullish. But we still had this 1 hour to burn through to see if we were actually going to be bearish. But again, pretty mixed bias today, which is going to go off of what market open did. Now coming into market open, of course, we ended up having this low here instead of this 1 hour gap. And above us, I think we also had a 30-minute unfilled fair value gap opened up as well up here. And now market ends up opening lower here. Kind of just chopping around in this gap. Okay, market ends up opening lower here, and then we get this 30-second inversion right here. What was decent, what there was good about this? What was good about this setup is that we had that 930 PO3 open lower. Technically, it swept out. I guess it swept out a pool of liquidity, kind of. Not really. It was literally just this 928 low. But it also did come into this slightly, not slightly more, this discounted 15-minute fair value gap, went all the way past it, hit this 15-minute order block as well, and then it started to, then it inversed the 30-second gap. And the only other good thing about this trade, which I also kind of liked but didn't like enough to take, was the low resistance liquidity that we had building up to this 30-minute fair value gap above us here. Now, if I did end up entering in on this trade, I definitely would have just got out of the position. I think it was around here. This is when the S&P 500 ended up coming into the 30-minute gap, which is where you definitely want to get out of this trade. And then from here, I think we kind of end up edging the gap. Oh, then we end up here. Was that the 30-minute? Okay, yeah. So either way, it slammed TP, right? This was a good trade. I'll just go over the things that I didn't like about this trade. Is when it comes to 930 plays, as of recently, and just when I backtest and collect data, I'm not a huge fan of 930 plays that don't have structure that aligns with the higher time frame and the lower time frame, right? So if we look at the lower time frame here, we are looking more bearish than we're looking bullish, right? We also have a lot of reasoning to move lower with London lows, Asia lows, and a new day opening gap. We have good reasoning to move lower. So I don't want to be taking a 30-second open low where we don't sweep out any significant pool of liquidity into a 15-minute gap that we kind of almost rail past a good bit. Like it was just a bit sketchy to me taking a 30-second here. The structure above, don't get me wrong, was great. But let me just go over like an example of a 930 play that I love. Like these are the only 930 plays that I really end up taking because this was a higher time frame count, but on the intraday time frame, this was definitely trying to catch a reversal, right? Obviously, as we have moved what 300 points to the downside, right? This is obviously trying to catch a reversal. So this is a mech model, right? This is a 930 mech model where we don't sweep out any significant pool of liquidity. And the only thing we do is kind of just fully fill a 1 hour and tap a discount 50-minute and then get a 30-second inversion. The only thing which was extremely good, or which was like the A plus side of that trade, in my opinion, was definitely the targets. The targets higher were just really, really good. But these are the only 930 plays that I actually really like. Okay, so I'm going to draw the 930 play out here. And this is what I mean by like higher time frame sponsorship. And like lower time frame and higher time frame aligning with their structure and what it's doing. This is the only kind of 930 play that I really like. It's basically just a 930 play with the trend. It's pretty simple. Um, so if we're trending higher here, and then we have, let's say the overnight session comes into this 4 hour gap, and then we deliver higher off of this, and then right before market open, we have this bullish for value gap that is unfilled here, and we have like a little liquidity pool leading up to it, or it can even already be inside of it. It doesn't really matter. And then we get that 9:30 open like right here. 9:30 opens low, and then we can target draws higher. That's like, this is what I love about 9:30 plays. Like, this is the only 9:30 play that I'm really a fan of. Of course, flip it around on its head if you want the bearish side of things. But for me, a 9:30 play, because of how volatile it is, you almost have to be like really sure. Like, you really want that confirmation. Um, and if we have overnight manipulation into like a higher time frame key level or pre-market even, and then we start to make moves higher, and then we accumulate, and then 9:30 opens lower into a gap that is sponsored by the higher time frame move, this is like a really, 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 really good setup to get like an inversion like here. Um, this is just like, this is like bread and butter 9:30 for me. Anything else really is like, if it's a 9:30 play where the lower time frame and the higher time frame aren't aligning with each other like it was today, I would rather just stray away from it, because I have taken so many trades like that before in the real time market and back testing, and because of 9:30 volatility, um, it's kind of just like faking you out a bit and just rallying a little bit higher and then chopping around and then shitting on your stop loss, manipulating lower to actual key levels, and then making this move higher, vice versa, whatever it may be. So that's why I faded this 30-second. In my opinion, it just wasn't as clear to me. I would have much rather sat on my hands and wait for a count. Now, the second count that ends up presenting itself, which I liked, but I still didn't take, was simply just because of where ES was. Now, I did get surgery yesterday, so my head is a little bit drowsy. Not blaming that for my lack of executing today, but I definitely should have taken this trade. I think, not I think, I know. So we had this. It wasn't the best, but it was like really obvious, right? We had. Mm, 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 mm if it's going to let me put it there, we had this fib retracement to C here after this little move higher, and then at this time the S&P 500 opened up a 5 minute fair value gap, and I think here we also had a 3 minute gap which got respected. So we were disrespecting bearish, respecting bullish. We had a retrace on NQ to C the range, respected the 3 minute gap. ES was inside of a 5 minute, and then we ended up displacing right through this 1 minute gap, and the entry was right here, stop at the low, targeting the 30 minute for value gap. Now this would have been an unfortunate break even for me if I did take it. I'm going to go over the trade I did end up taking, because the trade I did end up taking was this long right here, which also resulted in a break even. But what I like about this is because ES manipulated the gap. The only problem with this was at this time at 9:40, ES was still failing to distribute. Like, ES was kind of moving like, as you can see, Nasdaq is moving like this. ES was sort of beside it, moving a bit like this. It was kind of just like this. It wasn't really making any clear displacement moves. So I was kind of a small bit fearful of this stop raid, just in case. So I did end up sitting that out. Now looking back at this is definitely a trade I should have taken. I maybe overcomplicated ES a bit too much with this, especially because of what was protecting this lower after proving that we did end up delivering off of this hourly gap and this 15 minute. At this point, I think the 30 minute gap was 100% the agreed upon DOL, so this would have been a trade that I realistically should have taken. I'm not going to blame it for me being a little bit drowsy due to the surgery that I had yesterday, but could have been some. Anyway, I'm gonna stop coping. I probably should have taken that. But the next trade which I ended up taking, now I actually really, really like this trade. This was honestly, this was clean. I like this trade that I ended up taking. And this was the trade that did end up running to the draw on liquidity. Just unfortunately, I wasn't able to grab my 1-to-1 on this. I did end up just getting stopped at a break even, but I am going to go over why I ended up taking this. Now, if we look what happens here, what do? We leave a failure swing to this agreed upon DOL being the 30 minute fair value gap. So now we have a low resistance building up to this draw, and we made another failure swing here at 9:48, and then we get this really nice manipulation candle lower, and then we instantaneously get a 30-second inversion here. If I took the 30-second inversion, I didn't have trade sync or the trade weight open at the time. I'm pretty sure there was a 30-second here, but I ended up not being able to take this because I didn't have it open, and I just do much prefer 1 minute CISDs. Like, 1 minute CISDs over 30-second inversions always kind of have that better confirmation for me. But the reason why I like this so much is because we had the S&P 500. Oh, where am I gone? Cool, right here, right? No, yeah. We had the S&P 500 get way better manipulation here, it completely ran the low that we poked inside of the gap, and we also wicked 0.79, which is like the final like draw, final area we want to see us go on the fib. We wicked 0.79 perfectly. On NQ, we wicked the C of the range, I believe. Okay, well, we edge C, I guess, on NQ, but we already hit it before going on this way up, so it wasn't that deep. Or sorry, no, wrong leg. What was I looking at? This one here, yeah. So we ended up wicking 0.705 of the range. We also wicked VWAP on both pairs. So we had VWAP alignment. We had a stop punt inside of a 5 minute gap. Um, we had that internal SMT. We had the beautiful fib level alignments with VWAP, with the 5 minute gap, with everything, and then we had instantaneous displacement on both pairs. I really, really like this trade. It probably would have been a lot better for me to get in around here and just have my stop here and then target the 30 minute gap. But I ended up waiting for the 1 minute CISD just for better confirmation, which we got on this next candle. So my entry was here, my stop was here, and I was just targeting a 1-to-1 on this. Break even was just at the 30 minute gap. We ended up hitting the 30 minute gap, and unfortunately enough, we didn't have that volatility to push us through further deep into that 30 minute gap. And I ended up getting a break even here. And this break even, of course, ended up saving me on a loss. And then I think we kind of ended up chopping around. And then we opened up an hourly gap later on that session. And I think we ended up just delivering eventually to that hourly gap. At around 10:32 was the inversion move that ended up sending us higher there. So yeah, overall, I'd rate this first trade. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not even trying to cope or say nothing. In my personal opinion, I would rate this trade here, this 930 play, probably a B plus. There was one A. The A plus thing about this trade was the structure that we had here, but the manipulation, in my opinion, was just really poor. We didn't really sweep out any significant pool of liquidity, and we were kind of just chopping inside this hourly gap as well, and also some pretty good draws lower as well that I was looking at. So I didn't really want to just take a 30-second Judas like that, especially when the higher time frame and lower time frame weren't really aligned with each other. Um, I would rate this continuation here, this 940 play, probably like an A. I think this trade is a lot clearer. This is actually telling you that the gap, the 30 minute gap, is where you want to go. And the trade I took, I'd probably rate like this trade right here. Honestly, I'd rate it A as well, maybe A minus. I think these two continuation trades were very, very good. And then everything else, I'm not 100% sure. I know some people ended up taking longs, I think at around 10:08 here ish off like an hourly rejection block. And they ended up probably getting break even. Or maybe if they had their TP. Um, I mean, yeah, this is brutal. I don't know. I can't really see you not getting stopped out on this unless you were aiming for like a 1-to-1 on this. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know unless you took something else like maybe like a 30-second lower around here maybe. Then I could definitely see you hitting TP or potentially getting break even. Um, but yeah, I do think trade of the day. If I were to say what trade of the day would be, Hmm. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I'd say trade of the day was probably this 1 minute inversion at 940, or potentially the trade I ended up taking at 950, 952. I think I definitely should have had the 30-second chart open here, just because I felt like this move was so blatantly obvious to me. I didn't have the 30-second chart open. I don't even know if there was a 30-second gap here. Let me know. I think there might have been. But I think if I did see the 30-second, I was just super, super convicted in this. I probably would have ended up hitting TP on this instead. But yeah, overall, price action today, not bad at all. A bit, definitely not the best delivery now, by any means necessary, not the best delivery. A bit of wiki, weird candles here and there, a bit of random dumps, random spikes, and all that jazz. But overall, I think price action today was not that bad. And I ended up getting break even on my trade today. And yeah, that's honestly going to wrap up today's video. Let me know if you guys took any trades today, took a loss, break even, or W. Leave it in the comments below. If you've seen a setup or rated a setup that I think differently, leave that too. I always like hearing other people's opinions. And yeah, except for that, I will catch you guys in the next trade recap. I wasn't able to trade yesterday because I did get surgery yesterday, so there was no recap yesterday. I'm pretty sure we did get a banger long. We got an amazing continuation yesterday as well, which I 100% would have spanked. It was like a 2 minute inversion, I'm pretty sure, and then right after there was like a 1 minute CIC when it almost failed. But either way, yesterday was really clean. Had a great count, and today not too bad either. So, already 6 days into May, price action is definitely looking a lot more hopeful. So I'm liking this. Still not the cleanest now. Don't get me wrong, not the cleanest PA, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Still Trump candles everywhere we go, but we're surviving for now, and definitely implementing newer things into my strategy, such as paying attention to fib levels, how we're rejecting off of fib levels, keeping rejection blocks with SMTs in mind as well. So yeah, learning more and growing as a trader every day, which I'm super happy to say. Um, and yeah, looking back, like when I first started trading, how long ago? Probably like 9, 10 months ago. I would have never thought for a second that I would be in a position where I am today, being so excited to get better at something in my life because I didn't really have anything else except for until I found trading. That was like the thing. That was like my purpose that I found. So, um, yeah, super grateful for God for putting me in this position that I'm in, and you guys should be grateful too to be in a position where you can learn and where you can grow and where you can chase a dream, bro. Not everybody has that opportunity, so be grateful for the small things. Please don't ever catch an ego. Don't ever think you're the shit. Take everything, you know, take everything as a lesson. And yeah, quote of the day. That was quote of the day. I will catch you guys in the next video that works. So for except for that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. And my Instagram, Discord, and TikTok will be in the bio below. Peace.